Hello everyone, welcome back to PyNet Labs. My name is Chirag and today I welcome you all in this video where we are learning about network automation. In this particular video, I'm going to teach you about amazing library Netmiko. Netmiko gives you the ability of managing the connected network devices over SSH connection. So we are going to learn how to use this Netmiko library for connecting with the device. And not just that, we will try to run some show command to fetch out the output and also store it in a text file. So let's get started without wasting any time. I'm going to open my file here in evenG and will make my router ready for that. The router is up, already running, and I have pre-configured it with SSH configurations. Let me show you that. The router is configured already with IP, which is reachable. I have configured a credential also, admin, and password is Cisco. We do have some loopbacks also. We have some EIGRP configs, OSPF configs, but yeah, not of our business as of now. What we already have configured are these commands, which basically enable SSH configurations on my device. Now, once I have this reachability with my router that I can verify by trying to send a ping to the router, my router is available on the IP 10.255.1.101 and I can see the reachability is there. Once that reachability is there, I am good to get started by writing a Netmiko script that can connect with the router and can show me the details which are present on the router. So let's get started. I'll get to my VS Code. Here I have opened a file called networkautomation.py.
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
First step is getting the library. The very first step is installing the library that you want. Netmiko is a library that you need to install by yourself. It does not comes along with the Python package. So for the installation, you will go to the terminal, and inside the terminal, we have to type down the command python-m pip install netmiko. I already have this library in my setup. That's why it says requirement already satisfied. But for you all, it is going to install the library using this command. Once the library is successfully installed, we will call connect handler from this particular library. So from netmiko import connect handler, and I will also write down the command that we have used for installing it, which is python-m pip install netmiko. Connect handler is the module that allows us to connect with the network devices, but it requires some arguments. There are four mandatory arguments which we need to pass: IP address, username, password, and the device type. So let's specify all these four details of my connected router. I'll create a dictionary here called router details, and inside that I will specify that the IP of my router is 10.255.1.101, comma, username of my router, the username that I have configured for connecting with SSH is admin, password on my device is Cisco, and the device type that we are managing is Cisco iOS. We will connect with this device using connect handler. So SSH underscore connection, that's a variable that we have created, is equals to connect handler bracket, and I will put double asterisk, call my dictionary name router details. The line number 10 will create a SSH connection with my router. Once that connection is established, I would like to print a statement that says SSH connection was created successfully with the device. Perfect. Now I would like to tell you about two more functions. One function is called send config set. Send config set is used for writing configuration in global configuration mode of the device. So whenever you are trying to configure something, you will go for send config set. But if you want to run some show commands like show IP interface brief, show IP route, show running config, all these commands can be executed using send command function. So what we are going to try is we'll try a scenario where my script will perform some show commands on my device and we'll try to put them in a text file that we will create. If it works, then it should show success. If it fails, then we also will define how to handle that problem as well, how to handle that error or that exception that occurs in my script. So today we are learning how to connect with the router using Netmiko, how to fetch data from the router using Netmiko, and also how to perform error and exception handling. So let's see how this works. Instead of creating the connection like this directly and printing the statement that says SSH connection was created successfully, what I'll do is I will create a try statement. I'll say try and then say SSH underscore connection is equals to connect handler bracket double asterisk router details. And then I'll also say print SSH connection was created successfully with the device, right? Once the connection is established, like I have told you, I'll run some show commands to fetch out the data from my device. So in order to fetch that data, we'll use send command. And what is that data? So we'll say interface details first of all. We'll try to fetch that. And in order to get that, we'll use SSH connection dot send command bracket, and we will specify the show command that we want to run. So to fetch out the interface details, we use the command show IP interface brief, right? And then I'll tell it to print interface details so that I can see the CLI output. That's going to be my try part. So my script will try to execute all these commands. But if some problem occurs, then what to do? That we will specify under the except part. Except colon enter print the script failed because of some error, try again. If for any XYZ reason any of these particular commands do not work, then I'll simply give a prompt that the script failed because of some error. Please try again. Now it's time to test the script and see if it brings the result or if it gives the error. So if I'll run that script, let's see what happens. You see, it got executed. It says SSH connection was created successfully with the device and then also prints the results of show IP interface brief. So it works very well. Perfect. But let's also find out what will happen if there is any error. So I'm going to make a mistake here intentionally in my password and then I'll show you if I run my script what happens. The script failed because of some error. Try again. But that is not enough of the information. I do not know what exact error occurred on my device, right? What exact is the problem which occurred on my device. So what we can do is in the except statement only, I can say except exception as problem. Problem is just a variable, so you can name it whatever you like, and then can write here that print problem also. Now what we have said, we have told the script that if some exception occurs, if some error occurs, then put it into a variable called problem and print that problem so that I can see exactly what went wrong. Now we will try to run this again. And this time it not just prints the script failed because of some error, try again, but it also gives you a detailed error, authentication to the device failed, common causes, and the device settings. See, so that exception as a problem makes it more elaborated and gives us the ability of performing troubleshooting in a much better manner, right? So what I'll do is I'll fix my password again, which is Cisco, so that my script can work well. But this time I will also add parameter here, which is TextFSM. Use TextFSM as true. What do you see? It tells you that it processes the command output through text FSM template. Now, what happens when a command or when an output is processed through this template? When you process it through this template, it converts your data into structurized form. Right now, the output that we see, that output was the CLI output, exactly how you see it in the CLI. So if I go to my router and I say show IP interface brief, I see this results, right? And if I set it to false, for example, for the time being, and try to run my script again, so what output do I see here in my terminal? I see the exact same output, right? The way I see it in the CLI is exactly how I see it here. But this data is not something that I can manage, right? It is not structured data. But using text FSM template, if I set this value to true and I run the script again, what will happen? This data will be converted into structured data. It becomes dictionaries. If you see, here we have a list that contains multiple dictionaries. The first dictionary is about Gigabit Ethernet 00. It tells you about the name, it tells you about the IP, the status, the protocol status. Then similarly a dictionary about gig 0/1 and so on. If I say instead of printing interface details, if I run a for loop now for int conf in int details colon enter print int conf, what will happen? All the items of my list, that means all these dictionaries which we have for different interfaces, they all will get printed out in one line. So one by one in different lines. If I run that script again, there you go. We got all the dictionaries printed out in separate lines. So I can see Gigabit Ethernet 00, gig 01, gig 02, and so on. Now let's say I just want the names to be printed out. So after int conf, I can put a square bracket and can specify the key name interface. If I run that again, there you go. We got just the names printed out, right? So by using this text FSM template, we can change our CLI output into structured data and can get precise information like just the name or probably just the status of my device. Now, after learning how to parse the data or how to convert the data into structured form, it's also important that we learn how I can make a backup file or I can fetch the running configuration from the device and can put it into a text file maybe on my device, right? So in order to do that, what we will do is we will run the command show running config, correct? So along with printing interface details, I will continue in my script and I'll tell it to fetch running configs using the same function, which is send command, and using the command show run, right? But instead of printing that running configs in my terminal, I would like to send it into a text file. So I'll copy the path here. I'll create a file, a text file, probably called as running configs underscore R1, right? That's a text file. Then I'll right click, I'll say copy path, and I will open this file here, my file using the open function. Open function, raw string, paste the path, comma, and we will give the writing permissions. Now you will ask or maybe wondering that what is this R? or what was that raw string, right? So what happens that you must be aware that backslashes in Python are known as escape characters, right? So we don't want Python to consider these backslashes as escape characters, right? That's why in order to make sure that my Python do not misunderstand me, I'll put R before my string so that it can be understood as the path of the file and can be treated as a raw string. And then I'm giving writing permissions because I want to write data inside it. After opening my file, I will also tell my script to write data inside it, right? What do we want to write? We want to write the running configs. So I'll call my variable running config. Now that completes my script. The script is going to first of all make a connection. Then it will run show IP interface brief, convert that data or parse that data into structured form, print out all the interface names only from that structurized data, then run the command show run for fetching the running configuration and put that running configuration into a text file called running underscore configs underscore r1, right? If any of that fails, we also have defined how to handle exception, where we have told it to print that the script has failed because of some error, try again, and then also print that error so that we can know and can troubleshoot accordingly. So I'll save all these changes. I will now try to execute my script and see if I can populate the file with running configurations. So let's see, I'll run my file. And connection established successfully. All the interface names were printed out and my script ended, right? If you go and check running configs underscore r1, so you'll find the running configuration of my router successfully getting added into the file. And like I have said earlier, if any error occurs, then a print statement is defined here, which says the script failed because of some error, and that would basically make us clear about the problem which has occurred or happened on the device, right? So that's how you can automate your first script or first scenario for yourself, where a Netmiko script can be used for fetching the running configuration of your devices and putting it into a text file. Then we have also learned how to use any show command and convert that data or convert that CLI output into structured form. We got we have got much more here to learn for regarding Netmiko and regarding network automation, but this script or this video is going to be really helpful if you are getting started with it or you want to revise your concepts, right? So do try this particular script and let me know in the comments later that if it worked for you or maybe if you got some problem or error, right? That was all for this one. Thank you so much. I hope you liked the content of the video. If you did like the video, then please make sure you subscribe to our channel for more such interesting examples and scripts. Thank you. Bye bye.